Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and of course I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming, and a joy it is to join you today on a glorious spring day here in southern England where the sun is beating and it's wonderfully warm. And today I'm going to answer a question from a viewer who asks about that big fiery ball in the sky, the impact of heat and sunshine on one's appearance. So let me read this letter for you, or this email rather, letter, it's a bit old-fashioned isn't it? And then I'll answer the questions which are posed. So hopefully you'll gain something from this and enjoy how somebody is adapting his style to deal with a sartorial situation that he finds himself in. Now, this communication I've received is from Brad, and Brad says he enjoys the channel, and this is the guts of it really. As he writes this, as it is here, it's spring, and he says he would like my opinion on business attire for warm weather. Firstly, a little bit about Brad's situation. He says, I am a Canadian diplomat posted to the Middle East. Given the harsh nature of my homeland, Canada, most of my suits tend towards middleweight and heavier woolen fabrics. As you may imagine, I suffered in my first summer here in the desert. I would like to ask your opinion on suits made of lighter materials. I have acquired several single-breasted suits. One is a 3-button taupe seersucker. The second is a 2-button cream-coloured linen, and the third is a lightweight cotton structured 2-button suit which is beige or taupe in colour as well. I am well supplied with shirts in light blue, pink and white, and appropriate light coloured ties. For footwear I have a caramel brown pair of blue shirt shoes, now we would refer to them as derby shoes here in the UK, a pair of semi-brogue cap toe Oxfords, a pair of, which are very light brown in colour, a second pair of semi-brogue Oxfords in black, as well as black Chelsea boots and dark brown Chukka boots. So a good collection of footwear. With these, I hope to make it through another scorching summer in an environment which is populated with endlessly conservative grey corporate uniforms. I hope to stand out a bit, but not too much. I hope you understand my intent. So having described all that, I have some questions for you. So I'll take each question individually here. Now, firstly, Brad's question is seersucker appropriate for my situation? And he actually says, the seersucker is an interesting suit, a good fabric. It's got lots of texture, but do you think it's suitable for a sprezzatura look? I hesitate to mix the seersucker with other fabrics, as I worry the fabric contrast will be too jarring. What do you think? Okay, let's talk about seersucker then. Before we go any further, let's just unpack that fabric and where it sits in the pantheon of men's clothing. Because seersucker has actually been around for centuries. In fact, the word or the name we use, seersucker, refers to the Persian term of shakar, meaning milk and honey. And that relates to the sort of alternating textures which we often see in seersucker fabric, because seersucker in essence is made of a very light or fine cotton material, and the way that it's created on the loom often means that it can be puckered in certain elements of its in its manufacture, and that alternating texture in its original sense, the Persians refer to it as milk and honey, to show, you know, sort of like nice and smooth and a little bit more raised. So that's where seersucker is. Now, it's been favoured by people in warm environments going way back as far as the British colonial era, where you would have had people wearing seersucker in sort of, you know, Empire, India, times like that, where temperatures were phenomenally hot, and it would be the perfect material, quite loose-fitting, quite light in its nature, allows perspiration to sort of dissipate and keep the wearer quite cool, and often worn in lighter colours as a consequence of being worn typically in hot environments. So your choice of seersucker is actually a very good one. Of course, seersucker, after its sort of heyday, was introduced into the United States, and I think from my sort of experience of travelling around the States, tends to see it more in the hot and humid and sort of dense climates of the southern states, and it's often seen in the sort of preppy styles which are very popular in the US. So people dressing, I would describe it more towards the smart casual rather than the formal, but still an excellent choice for a very warm environment. Only sort of a month, 6 weeks or so ago, I was in the Middle East myself. I was in the United Arab Emirates, and at that time of the year, even in what would be the winter time here in the UK, temperatures were north of 30 degrees. I know, I've been there in the sort of summer time. It's 50 plus degrees, so you really want something which is going to deliver for you in a hot climate. And I do believe seersucker would be the right choice. It is eminently suitable for sprezzatura looks, to answer your question, because sprezzatura generally means this sort of nonchalant style of attire which makes it look as if you're not trying, yet actually you've put together quite a curated set of clothing. And because seersucker is not, it doesn't have total conformity in its appearance, it has that alternating texture, it has the sort of puckered look, it looks as if it always needs an iron. It's going to be something which works well with a sprezzatura look. And I would suggest, if you're wearing a lighter coloured seersucker jacket or coat, if you pair that with, say, quite brightly coloured chinos, for instance, maybe a pink chino, a washed out chino in colour, a primary colour but sort of muted by being washed out appearance, it's going to look very nice together, and they're going to complement each other, because if you've got a neutral coloured jacket, you can afford to go a little bit more harsh with the trousers that you're wearing. So absolutely something you can employ when it comes to sprezzatura, if that's what you're looking for. And you compare that look with a variety of different shoes as well, even right down to something like a pair of white leather sneakers if you want to go super casual, or any of those brown shoes that you've described, the chukka boot again, would work exceptionally well with that look. So embrace the seersucker in that hot climate. I know you'll need it, but yes, feel free to throw a bit of caution to the wind and employ some brightly coloured slacks, maybe some brightly coloured ties, because if you're wearing a neutral coloured jacket, maybe with a pink shirt, you can go nuts. Put a tie in place which is going to be that expression of your personality. And go for the pocket square as well, because if you've got neutrality in the outfit, make your accessories, bring the flamboyance to the look. Now, the second question from Brad relates to shirts, and he asks, short sleeve dress shirts worn with a tie and jacket, yes or no? I've always steered away from them, but the climate here may be suitable. I just don't want to look like that fool wearing one. And he did not use the word fool, but I am editing for the purposes of our audience. So, should one wear a short sleeve shirt with a tie? My immediate response is absolutely not, right? That's just my gut instinct. You do see people doing it. And for me, when you see a man wearing short sleeve shirts with a tie, something looks disjointed. Something on the overall ensemble looks incongruous to the look, and it just doesn't work for me. Personally, I would steer away from it, and I would do something quite simple, really. You don't need to go out and buy short sleeve shirts. You've got dress shirts. You've told me already that you've got an adequate supply of light blue shirts, pink shirts, and white shirts. That's all a man needs in the collection. Those three colours of shirt in a natural, just ordinary colour, that's all you need. You don't need stripes, you don't need patterns or textures. Blue, white and pink, that's all I've got in my collection generally. But instead of going short sleeves, all you need to do is ensure that when you're buying your shirts, you have normal barrel cuffs, all right? Don't go down the French cuff route if you're going to be in a hot climate. It's not necessary. Have a barrel cuff, because with a barrel cuff on your shirt, you can be more attentive to the way that you roll your sleeves. And actually, having a long sleeve shirt is equally as useful as a short sleeve shirt, but you've got the extra versatility of that long sleeve when you need it. So, let me just paint a picture to you. You've got your long sleeve shirt. You can roll that up above the elbow. Exactly the same utility is achieved as having a short sleeve shirt, but actually it looks a little more stylish to me personally, particularly if you take the time and effort to roll your sleeve up carefully. you look like somebody who's paid attention to detail. Now, that's for sort of casual. Worn without a tie, that is as nice as a short sleeve shirt. However, you're in a more formal situation, all right? If you just roll the cuffs back up to mid-forearm, so you've got sort of 3/4 length on the sleeve, it allows you to keep cool because it allows the airflow to go up the sleeve, get to the body, keep you a little cooler. But at the same time, there is still an element of the formality of the shirt maintained because you're covering more of the arm. You're getting most of the sort of practicality of a short sleeve shirt, but retaining a strong element of smartness. And of course, you know, when the situation demands, roll the sleeve down and you've got your long sleeve dress shirt all ready to go. So rather than buying short sleeve shirts and thinking about wearing them with a tie, just think differently about the way you employ your long sleeve dress shirts. And when you're buying new ones, steer away from a French cuff. Unless it's for absolutely only formal situations where you know there's no chance you're ever going to roll the sleeve and you particularly want to wear a cufflink as a decorative item on the outfit. But certainly, you know, go for the barrel cuff and you have a lot of practicality in that garment. But steer away from a short sleeve shirt worn with a tie. It's something you tend to see people in uniform doing, right? So don't employ that into your smart casual or semi-formal attire. Now the final question from Brad relates to his footwear, and this is a good one. Let me just dig it out. So what he says here is wearing black Chelsea boots with light colours, and of course he's described his suiting as being all taupe or beige of essence in colour. Should I stay away from them and stick to the lighter coloured shoes? Now my response there is absolutely, because black footwear is almost certainly going to be perceived as quite formal, all right? So, you know, I would typically wear black footwear when I'm wearing my darker clothing, be it a navy suit, be it a charcoal grey suit, or anything in the darker elements of the colour wheel. All right, because if you were to wear a black shoe or boot with a very light item of clothing in a hot environment such as you are, shall we say a beige item, so you've got a beige suit on or a taupe suit, there's going to be a very strong contrast between the shoe and the suit itself. You know, black and beige is almost black and white, isn't it? It's very, very sharp delineation between the shoe and the trousers. When you're wearing brown, and you've described a lighter brown shoe as well in your collection, there is, as you can see, a sort of, the delineation is less abrupt. There is you know, the grading of the colours more flows into each other. And brown, I would argue, seems to be a colour which is more associated with warmer climates and hot environments. It just fits better in the situation that you find yourself in. And of course, if you're wearing taupe or beige, they are relatives of the brown family, so they're going to be more naturally married in colour anyway. Now, a little tip for you as well, in a hot, dusty environment such as you are, of course I've been to the Middle East several times myself, so I understand where you are. I guess being a diplomat, you're going to be in an office most of the time. You're not walking around the desert. I don't presume to think that you are. But when you are out and about, maybe walking around, you know, the pavements of the local town or the bazaar, whatever, dust is obviously highly prevalent in a hot country because, you know, the wind blows the sand around and it'll settle on your footwear. Now, if you're wearing black shoes, that dust, that detritus which accumulates around the sole of the shoe and on the actual leather itself, it's going to be very noticeable because black, again, shows up the marks. If you've ever owned a black car, you will know that that is the most difficult car to keep clean because it shows up every smear and every little piece of dirt. If you've gone for a pair of brown shoes, and let me give another suggestion, go for a shoe which has a fair bit of broguing on it, because the broguing in itself serves as texture. It breaks up the sort of the sheen of the leather naturally, so bits of dust and dirt landing on your shoe isn't going to be so obvious. It's not going to attract attention. The shoe will look cleaner and sharper for longer. So just my little bit of a suggestion there for you. So there we go, Brad. I hope my suggestions were of some hope. I'm sure that you're going to have a brutally hot summer there in the Middle East, wherever it is that you are posted. And I hope that, you know, the world of air conditioning and seersucker and linen and all the other materials which are ideally suited for those climates will bring you some respite from that fiery ball in the sky, which surely will cast down some 50 plus degrees Celsius temperatures on you this year. So stay cool, stay sharp, and I will let me know how you get on at the end of the year. So if you have enjoyed this video today, thumbs up, click the subscribe. If you'd like to contribute or ask a question yourself, do so by sending an email to the email address you see on the screen now, or drop it into the comment section below. I read every comment, and where possible, I will respond in some way. If you'd like to support the channel, you can either buy me a coffee, or you can even become a patron, and you will benefit from the additional videos which I make available for my patrons, whose names you will also see at the end of this video in the pantheon of men's style. And to find out how to do that, it's in the comment section below, show notes. So until the next time, take care, stay sharp, stay cool, regardless of the environment, and I will see you again very soon.